I'll tell you a story. I've told this story before, but I hope I'm not boring people. But back in the day, I think it was 93, I went to the AIDS quilt in Washington. And I'm a 5:30 p.m. Sunday kind of Catholic. In other words, I go to the hangover mass and went there afterwards. And the gospel that day was about the 10 lepers who were cured, and only one came back to thank Jesus, the Samaritan, as if it was to say, I'm here to minister to all the sick, but especially to those who are sick and stigmatized as a function of being sick. And I was like, this is amazing. How could this reading suddenly hit me right this moment, just hours? Then the priest gets up and says, it must be very hard for anybody today to understand a disease like leprosy. There's nothing like it around. So maybe we should think of cancer as a metaphor. And you can imagine the whiplash from that when we have not just an analogy, we have an almost perfect analogy to these people. And they're all around me in the church. There is one person with HIV whose lover is dying of HIV on the altar. And so I was just beside myself. Afterwards, I went up to the priest and said, have you heard of AIDS, Father? It's in the papers. I said rather sardonically. And maybe he sensed my hostility, but he said, well, I didn't think that would affect anybody here.
Wow.
So that's what I was told in the middle of this, as I had seroconverted, and it did take me several months to go back into church after that.
It's that silence and the fear, it just inability to confront reality.
Has this prompted you to reconsider whether you should stay a Catholic, or have the examples of these people who kind of really did help others who were not like them, unlikely people in some ways, nuns and priests? And I obviously I get from the book that you take solace from those individual Catholics doing what they should have done at the time, and not the institution's collective failure. Has it helped you be a gay Catholic writing this book?
It's helped me be more comfortable not acknowledging I'm gay and Catholic. I had a real fear for a long time. I think I wrote about how I was afraid to even tell Carol, who I knew had ministered to gay men with AIDS for a decade, that I'm gay, because I didn't know how she would react. I feel better about that now. One thing I learned, especially from the gay Catholics I interviewed, was you kind of have to decide you're staying and then know what you're getting into, and not bolt as soon as you're offended by a statement from a bishop or something from the Vatican, because you're going to get that. And I think I have decided. I mean, I thought about becoming an Episcopalian at one point. I was going to join the Episcopal Church when I was in grad school. It didn't work for me. It's certainly a much more welcoming church, but there's something about being culturally Catholic, something about the Eucharist that I just can't find in another tradition. So I think I've decided I'm staying. I'm also recognizing that I've had a really great experience. I have priests and nuns who I'm friends with who are friends with my husband and I. We feel completely welcome in the church. We have a great parish here in Chicago that's very open and welcoming. So I've had perhaps a uniquely good experience. But yeah, I think once I made the decision to stay, it's just kind of taking responsibility and ownership of your faith, and deciding you won't leave no matter how bad it gets. Now, some people should leave because there are really unhealthy Catholic communities where it just wouldn't be good to stay. But so far, yeah, we're making it work.